violent. You can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Welcome to Cornhusker Corner with Blake.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I'm Brooks.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
And you better bet your bottom dollar that these two brothers know how to handle business.
Here's a hand up to Thunder, who gives it back to Mike Stokes. He's going to throw it. He's got a man out. Yeah! 40. It is. Eric Crouch. 15, 10, 5.
All right, welcome to Cornhusker Corner, where there's no place like this podcast. As always, we're your host, Blake, my brother, Brooks. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. For those that don't know, we also have an audio version. We post every week with our video on YouTube and vice versa. If you only listen on our podcast and audio, if you want to see our ugly mugs, head over to YouTube, search Cornhusker Corner. Follow us on X at __corner.
Yes, and also follow us for other fun things like side stories of the podcast, like how many acoustic tiles will Brooks have on his door this week? That's a fun one. Follow along. This week it's 3. Next week we'll find out.
Maybe it's 8. Maybe he's covered in acoustic tiles.
Maybe.
You never know. That's funny. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I did. As soon as he pulled us up, I was like, damn. It's like
Tetris funny
back there.
My one that was right. Hold on. It's weird. That one right there has been missing the past 3 episodes
Really?
because it's fallen down. But I've reinforced that. And
door
tiles they
do
fall
not
off,
want to
man.
stay. They don't want to stay.
No, it's the movement and the air and everything.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's good to be back.
Speaking of movement,
yeah. So we okay. Yeah, speaking of movement, no, we do have some stuff to talk about finally. I mean, it's been an off season. It's been a while since we've recorded one. We've, also new mic. So if I sound different, blame my 5-year-old mic that we had to retire as of like 15 minutes ago.
Yes.
But yeah, so no, we have some new stuff to talk about. It's been probably 4 weeks since we've recorded one.
Yeah, it's been about a month. Off season is slow. You've sort of seen that across the board. Shout out to the podcasts that are still going every week, the ones that are going every day. Good for y'all. I mean, we love Husker football just as much as the next people, but as a fan at this stage of the year, it's almost to the point where it's like you're watching old TV shows. You're finding new things to distract yourself to try to make time pass until camp comes around in August when you start paying attention again, and then the games start as well. Really, like media day is really when it's like, okay, let's see what's going on in Husker football, But we're here to talk about it. I enjoy talking about it. You enjoy talking about it.
Yeah,
so
and a big shout out to On3 because they're like one of the only ones posting college football content every day. And they see the engagement of Husker fans, so they throw us a bone probably once a week. So good on them.
They do, and the 5 Heart podcast, man, they're friends at this point. Every time I pop in there, I just say what up, and they're like, "Hey, Cornhusker Corner's here." So but this shout out to y'all, man. The consistency is keeping us going and keeping us motivated. But anyway, there's been some news this week specifically, which is just. It's really just a fascinating story. The headline is QB Jalen Gramstat from Northwestern College, an NAIA school, committed to the Huskers as a transfer prospect. Another quarterback's in the room. Now, to back up a little bit, give you a little, I guess, context. On who he is and a little bit about him is he was a safety his freshman year of college. First of all, he comes from Iowa. He's from Iowa, but he grew up hating Iowa and loving Nebraska. So he's a Husker fan through and through, just like the other 3 QBs in the room, I might say. But in his freshman year of college, he goes to Northwestern College, and they had an All-American at quarterback. And he basically had an agreement with the coach, like, I want to play, but like when he's gone, I want to be the quarterback. So whatever I play, like that's temporary. But he was safety his freshman year and was a good safety, really good, started. And then his sophomore year, he was a quarterback, and he won the national championship and NAIA Player of the Year. Now, by all accounts, Rule and company were not necessarily looking everywhere for a quarterback.
No.
And the funny thing is, the description of a quarterback they would have taken is a quarterback exactly like this guy.
him. Yeah.
And then 2 weeks ago at their camp in Lincoln, he just unannounced happens to walk in to the camp, thought it would be low key. Of course it's not. An hour later, there's headlines about it. And it goes from there.
He also like showed out too. So
yeah. From what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes.
From what I've heard. So yeah, no, it is interesting. And Rule, to his credit, he never said like, we're done. Like what we have was what we have. That's a Scott Frost thing to say. We're done. Like, do you think who we have in the room is better than what was out there? Adrian Martinez versus Joe Burrow. Anybody? But like Matt Rule has never once said like, oh no, we're done. He's always trying to add. He's always trying to make something better. And so if we're gonna go in to that first, because there was a couple other things I thought we would get to, but if we want to hop right in, I mean that is the most exciting news. So yeah, you're right. He played defensive back. I looked at a couple of his highlights. He had one for his quarterback, one for his defensive highlights for his like senior season and everything. I actually do have that, so we can play that. But before we do, I want to play just in general, because for those that don't know, I actually played NAIA football. So that was my extent of my playing time. So I thought it might be interesting because we've talked about it a couple times that I played, but this was my high school footage. And I only play this because a couple times his playing style is a lot like mine. I threw off my back foot a lot. There was a lot. Yeah, great habit. So like a lot of like, so this is one of the things. Yeah, look at the wheels. This is different. So the one difference between me and him, he's a lot faster, right?
Yeah.
This one throw in particular, one of his highlights, I'll
just
show
think
that.
of Blake as Jalen Graham's dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Just look at me right there. No, but like, yeah, no, I just figured that we play it because we talk about it all the time.
Yes,
and again, this was in high school. We were not a passing team. This was a quarterback sneak that I almost got to a touchdown, but he would have gotten to a touchdown. But yeah, no, there's a couple plays in here. There's one coming up that I think is probably my best throw. Not this one. Not this one. I don't get caught. One of the things about me is I never went down. And guess what? I played wide receiver at the NAIA level. So one of the things about NAIA, I'll just explain this and I'll point out the throw that I was talking about whenever it comes. Oh, it's this one. This is the best throw of my highlight. Look at that. Right over. That's perfect.
That's a good throw. Yeah.
That's a good throw. I'm going to end it right there.
Yeah. Dang,
one
man,
of the things
we're getting old, like you remember when we used to be kids and you look at old football footage and it looks like, and not that looks fine. Don't get me wrong. It's high school football footage, but man, football looks different now. The uniforms, the helmets,
I mean, that was also
HD,
Pennsylvania football.
Yeah.
A little different. I mean, technically that's probably on par with like Iowa football. Like there's some players here and there. But if you look at like Travis Fedoni, like he played in Nebraska, but you look at him versus everybody else.
Bro, he would have dominated in Pennsylvania. He would have dominated. He would have dominated pretty much everywhere.
Pretty much anywhere.
Texas is different. It's a different ball game, man.
Texas is way different. Way different.
It is. Like I can't. I was up there. I went to almost all your games, some practices. So I saw Pennsylvania high school football, and there, like you said, like there's some skill positions up there that are legit across the board. It also
depends from school to school up there.
Right, 100%. The organization probably wasn't as good, depending on the school.
So like my high school coach, he played for Joe Pa in the '80s, and he thought he knew everything.
Knew Matt Rule.
He probably did. He probably does know Matt Rule. Honestly, he probably does. But he didn't know what he was doing. You could tell because we played teams that were organized and knew what they were doing. Completely different. Yeah. But all that being said, I played NAIA football at a college called Tabor in Kansas.
Let's see the footage.
Every year I redshirted and then was like, I don't want to play football anymore.
Yeah. So there is
my
no
brain.
footage.
Okay. I'm 6'1". When I went to
college footage either.
Yeah.
It's okay,
When
man.
well, I was
my high school footage.
I was 6'1", and when I went to college, I was 190. When I came home for Christmas break, you can attest to this. I was pretty. I was 220. Oh my god, I was not fat. I was 220. I was like, bam. I was like,
don't leave me that space, man. Don't let me complete the sentence.
That's not true. That's not true. No, they wanted me to start and everything. But NAIA football, before we play his high school footage, because we couldn't find anything. A lot of my experience, and I'll play it here.
Yeah, just go ahead and play it while you're talking.
Let me see here. I'll get that. Get here. Share. Alrighty. Drop this out.
Okay, there he is.
Yeah, so there he is. See, he throws off his back foot.
Okay, that's what a quarterback's supposed to look like.
No, but when I was in NAIA, for those that don't know, NAIA, how the tiers go in college football, we're Nebraska, all those top teams that you know are. And then there's a Division I below that where my alma mater, Liberty, used to be, and it's the FCS, and that's Division I as well. And then there's Division II, and then there's NAIA, and then there's Division III. So it's NAIA is basically between Division II and Division III.
Well, that's if you're gonna rate them, but I mean NAIA is separate from those. Those are
it's separate, but like if you're going on like a tier for like quality of players, a lot of NAIA players go into like there as opposed to D3.
No, yeah,
because D3 you can't get any sort of scholarship, you can't do anything like that.
When I was looking up for Jalen Gramstat, I found some footage of their team. He wasn't playing quarterback, so I couldn't use it. But I found some footage of their team from last year, and I got to say I was impressed with the quality of football of NAIA for sure.
No, absolutely. So what my experience there were a lot of players there that didn't get the exposure that they probably should have. Just because of where they grew up, where they lived, who they knew, but were good football players, right? And then there were people that just had terrible grades, so that's why they ended up there.
Yep.
There were people that got hurt at critical times. That's where I kind of fell.
When I visited we played flag football or touch football or something, and I remember seeing some big dudes at Tabor.
You visited me at Tabor?
I did. I visited you. You don't remember that? When I visited you at Tabor, stayed in K Hall and all the stuff.
No, dude. Oh my God, you were there. Oh shit.
I remember.
I mean, okay, I was in a very bad mental state at the time, so that entire time went like to me.
Yeah.
So oh wow.
Anyway, I do remember playing touch football out at the yard with some people and seeing like some dudes who were like 6'4", 6'5", jacked, like the way they were moving around. It was like intimidating. It was like, dang, how are y'all playing NAIA?
Yeah,
you know, like
no, and I got hit by a lot of those people.
Yeah.
And I also dominated them in basketball. They never saw a white kid dunk before me.
Yes.
But I couldn't do that until I got there. I never did that in high school, but so no, I didn't.
See, the saying "cream will rise" is true, but if where it's rising to is really low, it doesn't matter how high it rises. It only rises high.
No, but that being said, I mean, look at this guy, right? Just look at how he is the prototypical Matt Rule quarterback, right? Serviceable arm, great legs. Doesn't make a lot of stupid decisions. Again, these are highlights. That is the one throw. That's what I was trying to say. That kind of mirrored the one I pointed out earlier. You go right it back against your body, just kind of toss it downfield, right? So I mean, look at that. I mean, he's shifty. He's fast. He's not very tall.
Won a state championship in high school. Player of the year.
Won a state championship. Yep. So he's done this on multiple levels. My thing on just the quarterback room in general. And one of the things that we talked about right after the spring game was how are they going to use Harburg, right? Because you said, I don't think they want to, I don't think they would want to get him hurt and try to use him in a way, because if Raiola goes down and he's already hurt, then they're kind of screwed. So I think that one of the things that this acquisition does, right, is make it to where they could use Harburg however they really want to, and also have a serviceable backup that isn't Kalen, because God bless him. I love Kalen. I love everything that he has talked about. He's definitely a talented player. He's more of a project than the other two. 100% he is. At this stage, at this stage, he has just a lot more growing to do. Right. I think he's going to turn into a good quarterback. But he has a lot of experience. The new guy, he has a lot of experience that kind of makes them a little bit more at ease to maybe do some more risky things with both Harburg and Raiola on the field together. Let me pop
over to this
right?
for a second too.
Yeah.
These are his stats over the last year.
Wild.
At Northwestern College. 35 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. That was I think it averaged out to less than an interception a game.
Yeah.
772 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns, 4 per play as a quarterback, which is impressive. 67% passing, 3,600 yards. The 35 to 9 touchdown to interception ratio is really the thing that impresses me.
Yeah.
That's
good decisions.
Like we talked about with Raiola, the proof is in the pudding. I know it's at the high school level, but 30 touchdowns and 1 interception doesn't just happen by accident. And again, I'm a big fan of Heinrich Harburg, but the reality is 52% across the board every time he's played football at any level. So I agree. It can be sort of like a Taysom Hill situation at this point.
And again, if you're not putting him in all the time and asking him to throw 30 times a game, he can throw the ball, right? So it's not you put him back there and like Taysom Hill especially. That's a great thing because you put Taysom Hill back there, he's running. Mm-hmm. They tried to make him a quarterback and it was a disaster, right? Mm-hmm. So you could put Harburg back there and he doesn't necessarily have to run, but you can have a package here and there. It's not even it's a dual quarterback system. It's just throwing a wrench into their plan, right?
What was the other guy at Northwestern with? It was Taysom Hill at Northwestern, right? Or was that at Kane Coulter was the guy at Northwestern. Coulter. You remember Kane Coulter? He was sort of the same.
Kane Coulter. Coulter was a great runner.
Yeah, really good. He gave us fits.
They beat us. He was the first person that beat us.
Yeah, Kane Coulter. Yeah, but they had a situation going with Kane Coulter and another guy. But yeah, he has the arm if the guys are open to pretty much.
Yeah, and now he has experience to kind of read a little bit. So that's what I'm saying. And if they want to throw him in at a double tight end look, because I'm sorry, but Fedoni and him is a lot more intimidating than Fedoni and Borkacher. It just is.
Now, bear with me here because I'm not an offensive coordinator, but also think about this. You got Raiola and you got Heinrich as the running back, and you do an RPO concept where you could also hand the ball to Heinrich and he could also pop pass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Either one could pass or run,
listen, it's off season. So I've been watching a lot of the old Nebraska games, and I started at the beginning of Bo's tenure, watched all of them. And when you watch them back to back, I think I mentioned this. It's why did we fire him? It was fiery off personality, and when you have to go week to week to games. But if the
relationship had soured, that was the thing.
It did. But if you look at it as a grand total, I'm there was no dip.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you. But the relationship had soured. He had been looking for another job.
I was watching. I'm now in the Scott Frost games.
Yeah.
And when McCaffrey came in, different situation. But when McCaffrey came in, he's so talented, and again, he was a 4th round draft pick this year in the NFL draft.
The position he should have been playing the whole
at the
time.
position he should have been playing here. But
They never asked me to play that. What was your brother tweeting about? I don't You heard that interview recently, right? He was like, they never asked me to move to wide receiver. It's like, dude, your brother was going on a Twitter tirade, all mad because they asked you to move to wide receiver. Which one is it? I want to know.
Yeah.
I love you, McCaffrey.
Well,
this is weird.
He didn't want to talk anything bad.
Of course not.
I don't really.
He didn't want to make himself look bad.
But yeah, didn't want to hurt his draft stock.
Yes,
but
understandable.
They had packages. He was in at running back. They had packages where like he was at receiver. He came back and threw the ball. They did that multiple times his freshman year, right?
Yep.
So you look at that and I'm like, they could do that, but on a bigger scale because Harburg has more experience. He's the older one of the two of them.
Yeah.
So even if you want to even take some of the pressure off of Raiola, you throw in those packages every once in a while. If the offense gets stagnant, say, hey, all right, we're going to do something different. We're just going to pound the rock. We're going to pound the rock, throw a little bit, then go back in. We'll reset. Do that. And it's not like he's breathing down your neck kind of thing. It's like, we're going to relieve some of the pressure off of you to do this other thing, throw the other team's defense for a loop. And then we're going to go right back to it. Keep them on their heels.
Yep.
And I think that's what they're setting up for. I really do.
Yeah.
Because Harburg is one of the most athletic people on the team, and he's shown that. It'd be stupid to keep him on the bench.
I agree with that. I feel like you'd have to set it up, though, with him occasionally coming in and playing that H-back role every once in a while. Because if you're just going to have him go out there every once in a while at quarterback, I mean, you can kind of work with that, but, I mean, it becomes predictable. Versus if every once in a while he's in their H-back and Raiola's operating, and then maybe Raiola moves to the slot and Harburg moves back into the quarterback position or something like that.
I'm not saying that he goes in and completely replaces him, but if they want to throw him in there
like
to do something
or something
like something like that, yeah.
But as far as the overall question, where does the QB room stand? I think it could be summarized like this: back when we got Raiola, it was like, this is going to be great. Look at all these quarterbacks we have. And then it sort of got whittled down to the 3 in January or so. And it was like, okay, Raiola, Harburg, and Kalen, 2 freshmen and then 1 guy with experience. Okay, we should probably get another one. That's sort of what everybody was saying. And then around, it sort of softened a little bit. And then we saw Raiola's spring performance. And it was like, okay, we're good. We're set. We're a little shallow. If Kalen has to play that too much, that will suck. But, we're set. He's so good. Yeah. But we still could have kind of used a guy. That's the only thing that would have made it better. Yeah. And now we got our guy. And I don't think you could have a better QB room situation right now as far as the way everything is set up. I think Rule has done a hell of a job.
No, not for us. I mean, you look at it too. Like, what are you going to bring in another Division I guy that has a attitude that he thinks he should be starting? It can poison the room.
Yeah,
we can. It is like the perfect situation because we had those 3 scholarship quarterbacks. Then we had 2 walk-ons. One of them with 4 quarterbacks.
Yes.
So now we have 5 again, and he's not a scholarship guy, right? He's just walking on.
I think the line is blurred.
It's so blurred now.
Blurred.
You're right. It's so blurred.
It's not even like it's barely. Yeah. It's gonna not even be a conversation here soon, to be honest, with the way things are looking.
But I was just wondering, just in general for now.
But yeah,
so I think
level guys.
I honestly think how the room shakes out now, unfortunately for Danny Kalen, I think it's Raiola, Harburg, I can't. Ramstat, and then Danny Kalen.
Yeah,
I think that's how it works, and not because Kalen's not talented. I think they redshirt him, and if they have to break it, they have to break it. But they have another guy now that has college playing experience, even though it's not the highest level. Mm-hmm. I know. Again,
he's an
operator. He's an operator from experience. Like he's playing against higher level competition.
Here's the thing about Harburg. I wouldn't put him in that same category as operator. He's a gamer. I think he's a gamer. I think he can make plays, but I don't think he's gonna check into something and then read and then check out of that thing into another thing. Raiola is doing that. Raiola is playing Madden at a high level at the quarterback position right now. He's checking into things, checking out of stuff. So what my argument with Gramstat is like, dude just won player of the year in AIA, has been the leader of every team he's been on, and can operate at the quarterback position. So if Raiola comes in and is swinging and is good, and everything's going good, and then maybe, I don't know, injury, or I don't want to wish anything, but Gramstat to me is the guy that's like, okay, he could maybe operate without missing too much of a beat, because he can make checks. He can do what a quarterback really does. I don't think Harburg can't do that, but
you're making the assumption that now he's like actually number 2 quarterback.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
See, there's
the proof is in the pudding, brother. Like he's had a 65% plus completion percentage his entire career.
Okay.
Like,
okay, fair.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
We have a real quarterback coach, and I've said this before. We have a real quarterback coach now. Harburg has not had a real quarterback coach the entire time he's been there, even last year. I'm sorry. He's not a quarterback coach.
Yes, they've admitted that.
They've admitted
that.
Like they did that basically out of necessity. They couldn't find anybody, and then they were like, "Oh, okay, you can do it." Offense equal quarterback. But like Verduzco, not a quarterback coach. Like
let me just ask you this. Let me just ask you this. If Harburg was in the NAIA, would he win National Player of the Year? It's a great question. You really?
Yes.
You really think that?
I really
think that. Like I don't think either. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like,
look at what the kid did.
Do you think all of a sudden he's going to be a 67% completion percentage guy at any level?
Look at what the kid did without any sort of like they didn't tailor the offense around him.
I am looking at him with any sort of bias. I'm looking at the numbers. You're having a bunch of bias. You're saying I love Harburg. That's your argument. Is I love Harburg. He's a really good player and really athletic. I agree. The stats are everything when we're talking quarterback. They're everything.
Okay. Look at the first couple games. Then he got a little banged up. Once he got a little banged up, that's when it started going a little bit south.
I agree with that. But even when it was good, it was 50%. It was 50%.
And also the play calling, dude. Like, and we had 2 true freshman wide receivers that were trying to carry us. The offense was just abysmal in general last year, and that was his first game playing experience in 3 freaking years.
No, I agree. Again, I'm not trying to disparage Harburg. I'm just saying the proof is in the pudding.
I just think it's pretty absurd to assume that the guy from the NAIA level is going to come in and like leapfrog.
We'll see, dude. Like, we'll see. Like, this is
if he does, he does. Listen, I'm not a player loyalist. I'm a team loyalist. But yeah, I hear it now.
She's
little puppy. That's okay. Yes. Who cares? But we're in a good position. So we're having this argument that's like heated and stuff, but like that's a good thing to have.
No, yeah, 100%. Again, I'm not trying to disparage Harburg. I'm just saying, like, one thing Bill Bush always says on the radio that I feel like rings very true. To an extent, he wants to downplay his own like influence as a coach throughout the years.
Of course he does.
Because he's a very humble guy. So that's partly where this comes from. Yeah. But there's also some truth to it. What he says is the players. The players are the most important thing. You have to have the players. So there's only so much you can coach. That's really is what he's saying. Like that, you can only make someone so good. Yeah. And I'm not saying that like Glenn Thomas can't make Harburg into a 60% plus completion percentage guy. Or if we're not even talking about throwing, maybe he can just make him fit into his game better, more naturally, cleaner. Maybe it's just that. But 67% completion percentage is that across the board. And with the way that college football has been changed over the last 5, 10, 20 years. It's been changed towards offense. We've seen an uptick in throwing, and a quarterback is basically a super, super tough pitcher. Essentially, they're a pitcher who can operate an offense. That's what they are. It's like a golf. It's like becoming more like they're a golfer. It's a specialized position is really what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So like it translates. That's what I'm trying to say. Like people, like a D lineman might not translate, but like a quarterback's that stuff will translate. Take my word for it.
All right. Well,
I'm a quarterback.
I'm going to pitch a hypothetical. I'm going to pitch
10 interceptions in our last Madden game.
More on that.
Drake beat me in Madden the other day, 54-12.
Oh man,
12.
I mean, you're not that great at Madden.
It's the stick drift. It's
the stick drift.
Yes.
But no, I'm gonna pitch a hypothetical to you.
Go ahead.
Just on the Harburg thing, and then we can go into other stuff. If he was not even like a battle or anything, if he was the starting quarterback at Kansas with Lance Leipold, do you think that he would be more or less successful than he was last year?
More successful than he was last year, but he wouldn't play. Jalen Daniels is
starting. I said if he is the starting quarterback.
It's a hypothetical. I know.
It's a hypothetical.
Yeah, but like they wouldn't be the same, dude. Jalen Daniels is really good. That's one of the big reasons they're good. He's organized around him really well, but he's an excellent player. So is their Bean guy. Both of them are better than both of them are better than Harburg.
Okay,
they both
that's
are.
not what I asked though. If you have a winning coach and a winning system, you've seen them tailor the offense to Beam and Daniels.
It's just a hard hypothetical to even wrap your mind around because the reason why they are a successful program is partly because of those two players.
The only reason I chose Kansas is because I was like, eh. So
anyway, we both like Harburg. He's a good guy. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And the QB situation's good.
Very nice.
Very nice.
So other off-season updates. Jaden Doss moving to corner. That came out in the press conference yesterday. I think that's a good move, honestly. It was one of those things that like you saw him in little flashes and like little stuff last year, but it kind of bolsters a position group that needs a little bit more bolstering. Shall we say, a little bit more depth. And he's a talented guy, and if that's where he wants to go, and that's where they think he should go, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because receivers deep now. So
well, and Jaden showed some flashes actually, and showed some I think impressive ball skills for his age, and one of the interesting things to me is I heard it put this way. It was like sometimes the best DBs and cornerbacks, actually, if you look at the NFL, a lot of the best cornerbacks at one point in their career, whether it was high school or even early college, they were a receiver. And one of the big reasons is the cliche is, oh, he moved to cornerback because he couldn't catch. It's like, that's not really how you should do things. Think about it this way. The receiver has the map. He knows where he's going on the play. Even if you get into high-level choice routes, like you got to get a feel for it, and you know sort of what you're going to do. Yeah. The DB doesn't have the map. He has a key, but no map. You know what I mean? And so you have to be almost better at and more athletic, have better ball skills to really be a NFL level cornerback. You almost have to be better at that than the receiver.
It's way more anticipation, and it's following. Right. It's seeing movement. It's anticipating. It is so much harder. Yeah, so much harder than knowing where you're going to go and then trying to throw the other guy off. It is so much harder. So much harder.
Yeah, like
it's funny that you said like, oh yeah, the hands. And that's why he's a defensive back, because especially in the NFL, Troy Aikman is like the worst at that. Every time they drop, oh, well, I mean, that's why he's playing defensive back because he should have caught that one. And I'm just like, oh, God, of course.
Dude, tell that to Ed Reed. Tell that to Deion Sanders. Like, these dudes, like the one of my favorite clips, I think it was on like Inside the NFL or something like that, was Bill Belichick describing the greatest play he's ever seen. And it was Ed Reed. And what Ed Reed did was essentially he faked like he was going to the inside, like 5 yards, like everything, his eyes, his shoulders, everything. But he knew where Brady was going. Brady was going to the corner route. So he knew Brady was going to go there when he saw Ed break into the inside. But he knew that if he got on his horse and like timed it right, he could make the play. So the play plays out like this. You see Ed Reed break to the inside, and then you see like Brady throw to the corner, and then you see immediately just like a freaking missile, Ed break over to the corner and intercept the ball. Yeah. And it's like stuff like that. It's like, dude, that is next level. Okay, that's next level. The next level.
No,
I mean,
that was in the Patriot documentary on Apple TV.
Yeah, really.
I don't know if you watched that.
Yeah. I've seen that clip a bunch of times. It's awesome.
Oh no, but like that he went into that from the Brady side. He was like, that son of a bitch. He read me like a drum. No, you should watch that because it does go into like a lot of different stuff. They shy away from a lot of the controversies, which is
sure.
Why would you go into it?
Right.
But, yeah, but no, that's funny. No, but you're right. You're right though. Like it's like a three-way game, right? Mm-hmm. You have to know where you are, your position on the field, your body, where you can go to if you need to go. You have to read the receiver, and then you have to read the quarterback. Yeah. And it's a really hard position to play. No, yeah, which is why I never played it.
Outside of quarterback, defensive backs know the game of football the best. Matter of fact, I'd say the top 5% of quarterbacks know the game better than most DBs. When you're talking an average quarterback that doesn't operate at a high level,
like Heinrich
DBs know the game better than that quarterback. That's why they throw interceptions.
I mean, like, definitely like against Jeff Sims. You gotta know the game.
Yeah. Well,
Jeff Sims doesn't know more than a punter. So.
No, Jeff Sims lost to Isaac Newton because he just let the ball just keep hitting the ground. Isaac Newton beat Jeff Sims.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Einstein didn't even have to come in. Newton. It was Newton. 1500s. He was beat by science from the 1500s.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
Anyway, anywhere else? David Hofkin, I think, is kind of interesting. The German that we offered another German player. Committed. He committed at that camp. I think the same camp that Jalen Gramstat was at, and he's like 6'9". I mean. I at first it sort of went over my head, whatever we offered a German guy, until I saw him move. This guy looks like Randy Gregory, like a white German Randy Gregory. That's what he looked like.
On the defensive side?
Yeah. So at first they were like, he's going to be a tackle. He looked really good with his step backs, and he was working with Raiola. But now as he's come into the program and got in, they're like, he could be an edge rusher. Let's make him an edge rusher.
I mean, the last person that we offered from Germany was Newilly, right?
Newilly, yeah. They've already like connected on Twitter and stuff. He's like,
oh, really?
More German Huskers, yeah.
Very good.
But it's kind of interesting. He was on there's like this program that's like an international program where they bring a bunch of German football players over to the United States to try to get discovered. And that was Nuri was part of that same thing, and now David Hufkin. But he was working at a pharmacy. He's 23 years old, and he was working at a pharmacy, and like was sort of just like, I'm not playing football anymore. Was helping out coach at the local high school, and like he was out there helping out. Like, and the coach was like, dude, you look great. He was just like, yeah, I want to play. Can we try to make that happen? And then he got connected with this guy. He was like, you still have eligibility and yada, yada. And long story short, we got a 23-year-old German edge rusher.
Funny. It's always those guys that have been overlooked but had the talent and just didn't have the opportunity.
Right.
It's never the guys that are playing adult peewee football.
Yeah.
That are trying to make it in the league still. You're going to know this name, and you can cut this out if you want to. Chris Barrett.
Oh, yes.
He's still playing football, dude.
Really?
He's still trying to make it.
Really?
He had this whole post the other day. That was like, oh, I can't believe people like discredit us because they think we're playing like adult Pop Warner. And I'm like, you are. You're not getting paid.
Is it one of those like leagues that play at like those Pop Warner type fields?
Yes.
Oh yeah. That's it's kind of it gets to a point where it's kind of sad because football is a sport. I was talking to a coworker the other day about this, super into soccer. And I was talking to him about football. I was like, "Do you like football?" You know, and he watches the Texans and stuff. But one of the things I said was, I think one of the things that makes football so great is that it really like exploded and gained popularity in early 1900s in America, especially post World War II. I mean, pre World War II was popular too, but post World War II especially. And one of the things about it is because there's risk. There's risk in football, a lot of it. Everyone who's playing football is risking, you know, like a lot. You can get serious brain damage playing the game. And as sad as that is, you know, seeing situations like we were just talking about where people are in their 30s, mid 30s, late 40s, not making money and still taking the hits. It's one of the reasons why it's so captivating is because there's something on the line outside of even just the wins and the losses. Like there's something human on the line. There's something primal about watching it. Like when it boils right down to it. But yeah, the situations like that, like we just talked about, is like, man, that's sad, man. That's sad. Like no, NFL, it's cool because it's like they're making millions of dollars, and it's like it's like gladiator stuff. But
like the people in the UFL, right? Like shout out to Adrian Martinez. We have to talk about Adrian Martinez, right?
Yes, we do. We do.
Like people like him, right?
Yes.
They still have a shot at being in the league.
No doubt.
That is a league feeder right now. That is the entire purpose of that. It's to be spring football, get some guys more exposure to be like, okay, you can be a 2 deep, or you could even be a starter. Like that. That's like what that league is trying to do. Mm-hmm. But shout out to Adrian Martinez because he went. I mean, he was the MVP of the season, right? And then he got benched.
Because for one bad game, the final game of the year,
because Skip Holtz doesn't mess around.
No.
And
which I understand, he's a good coach. He's now two-time championship winning coach in that league.
3.
I mean, 3. Oh, is it 3? Wow.
That was his third. It was his first one there, and he won the other 2. And
damn. So Adrian joined Alabama of the UFL. That's so sick, dude. Good for him.
No,
that's
good
awesome.
for him. No, and then he won MVP of the championship game.
Yeah.
And got presented by Tom Brady.
Yes.
Awkward ass Tom Brady.
Yes,
but
here you go.
Adrian.
Yes.
But no, I mean, good
Don't
for him.
let your wife go to jiu-jitsu class.
No, but like, good for him. I mean,
for
as
sure.
Nebraska fans, especially watching back all these games, he had some bonehead plays here and there, but honestly, he's been our most consistently good quarterback and probably since Gans.
Yeah. I mean, he showed a lot of growth, I think. Because this is the UFL is not the NFL, but it is a higher level than college. Make no bones about it, because it's if the NFL is the all-stars of the all-stars of college, pretty much is what it is, then the UFL is the all-stars of college. Pretty much. Because it's the people who are just on the outside looking in the NFL.
Yeah.
So he showed a lot of growth this year, even looking back at how he looked at K-State. Obviously he had a lot of, ups and downs at Nebraska, and sometimes there were games of consistency and awesomeness and then games of not so much. But at K-State he looked all right and he looked okay. But in the UFL, it's like, man, there he is, fully Adrian, that's what he could have been the whole time.
Yeah, and it was really good to see. Like, I was always rooting for him.
I think he's going to make it, man. I think he's going to make it in the NFL. I do.
I think he's going to get a good backup job.
Yeah.
Like, he's proven that. He really
Best
has.
Case scenario for him.
Honestly, he's better than probably at least 4 of the starting quarterbacks right now in the league.
Best case scenario for him is that he gets signed to a team that just signed like some hot shot rookie running style quarterback.
Like Caleb Williams.
So the best shot for Adrian is he gets signed to a team like that, and then that player busts or gets hurt. And then Adrian gets the opportunity. And if Adrian gets the opportunity, Like, I really do think like he can be pretty good and make a man, or an owner or a head coach think twice about, okay, who am I going to play? I do think like he can do
like
that. He's good.
a J. Daniels, JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, he's got to mitigate his risk, though. There's some things that you can probably get away with in the UFL that you probably still couldn't get away with in the NFL as far as the running.
Yeah,
he's just got to make sure he mitigates his risk.
As long as he stays healthy. Like,
that's
one of the things that he was that was his detriment here is he got hurt every year. And he got hurt
into his freshman year coming off of an injury,
yeah.
I mean,
so like when he's healthy, he's very shifty. He has a good arm. And he's shown that now he can read defense with good coaching. But he still throws a little bit of that Verduzco style every once in a while.
He does.
No, we're happy for Adrian.
Definitely.
But let's get into our last topic here, all right?
Yes.
Well, second to last, and then we'll wrap up. So most anticipated newcomer. So we have a lot of new pieces on the team. And I just figured that like now was probably a good time, because from now until the mid to end of July, like there's going to be some more news and stuff. So this would probably be our last chance to really shoot our shot on a newcomer, right?
Yeah.
Before camp and everything starts. So, and you had almost zero time to think about this.
Yeah.
But
I can go if you need me to. If
you
have somebody, go ahead.
I have somebody, but I also have another one. If you're gonna steal it, so go ahead.
So I don't know if we're talking about people who have signed, I guess we'll say in the last 3 months or what. But the one that popped to my mind immediately of somebody who we've known was coming for a while but hasn't been on the team yet and is about to be was Carter Nelson. Nelson, he's just a stud, man. Like it's really hard for people to get over that whole like, oh, he's just from 8-man football, like that hump of just like expectation of what you expect from a player like that. Man, he would have been good anywhere. He would have started on Katy football in
There's
Texas.
a reason Nick Saban offered him.
Yeah, he not only would he have been good everywhere, I think he would have been great and stood out just as much. Like that's how good he is. That's why it was so weird, because you see him in 8-man football and it's literally comical.
It's like he's playing versus lemmings.
Yeah, bro. It's like you created the creative player, 99 everything, 7 foot tall, 300 pounds.
Yeah, like you used to.
and then you did build a dynasty and you started out playing high school. You know what I mean? That's what it's like. So he's very anticipated because I think he's going to make an immediate impact. I expect Thomas Fidone to break out this year. But as far as threats, like legitimate threats at that position, I think that there's some situations where you'd want Thomas out there, and there's other situations where you'd probably prefer Carter. Like, for instance, a possession situation, you'd prefer Thomas. You'd prefer Thomas.
Yep.
But a situation where you're trying to run a screen, you'd prefer Carter.
Shifty.
You prefer Carter. He's shifty. He's fast. Like, that's the crazy part about him, is because he's a physical specimen.
And like how tall is he? Like
he's 6'6", 6'7".
Fidone is definitely like a bigger person right now.
No doubt. Like Fidone's a stud. A stud, but he doesn't have the acceleration that Carter has. Like I haven't even really seen Carter at the college level, but I watched that All-Star game and I've watched his tape. He has some insane acceleration. Like when they at that All-Star game, Rayola connected on a screen, and I was shocked to learn that it was Carter. I was like, oh my God, that's how fast that guy is.
And we have him.
We have him. And so just an absolute freak that I'm really excited, and I think they're going to get him involved immediately. I'm very excited for Carter Nelson. So go ahead.
No, he definitely should. Definitely should be excited there. And that's a good one. You went the freshman side. I'm going to go the transfer side.
Nice.
And I'm not going to go Nair. Almost did. But I'm going to go Banks.
Nice.
I'm very excited to see what that guy does on our team.
We're really banking on him.
We're banking on him. There was an article I read that this is like the third or fourth year in a row that we're banking on a transfer.
At the receiver position.
At the receiver position.
Yeah.
And I was
it's
like,
played out
no,
pretty good, actually.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Like 4th year. And then I looked and I was thinking, I was like, okay, so last year there was
last year was Kemp. And then
Kemp,
Palmer
and
the year before.
then we had
Toure
Palmer,
the year
and then
before
Toure the year before, and I completely forgot about Toure.
Yeah,
and then
they
I started
were all
watching.
pretty much good though. I mean,
and then I started watching the games. Toure was outstanding.
Yeah, really good. I mean, he made
so
an NFL roster, brother. Like he made an NFL roster. I think
he
he's
was
still
so
on the
good.
roster from what I understand.
He
Last
should
I checked,
still, he was on Green Bay last year.
Buddy of mine who's a big Packers fan. I talked to him about it like a month or 2 ago, and I asked him about Toure. He was like, "Yeah, I think Toure's still on the team." But even fans of teams sometimes have a hard time this time of year keeping up with the roster changes.
Yeah.
So,
no, we'll see.
Yeah.
But he was good, and Palmer's like,
excellent.
He's the second wide receiver in Tampa right now.
Is it second? I thought it was Chris Godwin that was second still. Chris Godwin's not there anymore?
I don't know, but
it was definitely Edwins and Godwin first. It was definitely.
I'm just telling you, I live in Florida.
Yeah.
And I hear like fan talk. Yeah. Everybody loves Trey.
Yeah, of course everybody loves Trey.
Oh yeah.
He's awesome.
And
Trey was great.
And he burned my Eagles.
And even Billy Kemp, Billy Kemp was exactly what we thought he was. Our offense was just not proficient enough to even take advantage of his strengths, which was really he's really like a possession receiver, veteran presence on the field.
No, it sucks. But
Toure and Palmer were flashy #1 receivers at the college level. Really, they were.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
But this year, so Banks, I mean, I watched that dude's highlights and everything, and like he's just a dude.
Yeah,
he's a dude. And I just, when we got him, I was just, because in the perennial of like college football, if you get a transfer from Wake Forest, you're like, oh, all right. But Wake Forest has been like pretty good the past couple of years, and like he's a really good football player. So I am like super excited to see what Banks does, and all that he has to contribute, because he has, like, again, D1 college football experience, and it's just
here's what I love. So you remember some of the stuff, especially under the Scott Frost era, it felt like we'd have these beautifully drawn up plays that were executed 95% to what they needed to be, and then drop.
Yeah.
Something stupid like that.
Yep.
Jamal Banks had the highest catch percentage of the ACC in the last 2 years, around 60% of the balls that were thrown his way he caught, which is a really high number.
Yeah.
So this dude doesn't drop them if they're catchable. That's pretty much what that statistic says, because you can account at the college level, especially, you can account about 60-40. 60% of the balls that are thrown any receiver's way could probably be catchable on a good team. 40% are acrobatic plays that a receiver would have to make, pretty much, especially on a possession guy.
Not even that. Probably about 15 are like acrobatic, and then probably about like 25 are like overthrows,
right, or
like way uncatchable.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's tiers to it. You could get more detailed, but like I said, 40% of them, there's some adjustment that needs to be made, at the very least.
Yeah.
And Banks, he just meets that threshold. I agree. I'm excited for him as well. And the fun thing is, this year you talked about, we've relied on a transfer every year the last 4 years.
I don't think that's
But this year there's a lot around him, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's him, and you could have easily chose Nayor for this same category as well. I mean,
absolutely.
There was a picture that was, so I knew Nayor as like the speed guy. He's the speedy guy. And I knew Banks as like the big dude. They released a picture the other day of all of them working out, all the receivers or something like that, and just in normal street clothes. And I looked over to the left, all the way over to the left, and I was like, who is that guy? Who is that guy? And I realized it's Nayor. He's freaking huge. He's a foot taller than everybody else in that room.
But he's fast.
Yeah, and he's the fastest one in the room. Yeah. So it's like,
no, the only reason we've gotten him is because he has an injury history.
Yeah.
Only reason that he didn't play, and like, it's stupid.
No, 2 years ago, when Josh Pate was previewing a Texas team with Bijan Robinson, a Texas team with their receiver who got drafted as well. What was his name again? Casey Thompson threw to him and talked about him a bunch. He's a very notable name as one of the
Xavier
top
Worthy?
receivers. Worthy, yes. 2 years ago when Josh Pate was doing his Texas preview, right after Nayor got transferred to Texas. He was like, you have an offense with Bijan Robinson and Xavier Worthy and all these guys. And he goes, I think Isaiah Nayor might be the best of them all. I remember Josh Pate saying that. And I was like, whoa, who is that Nayor guy? Put it in the back of my mind, forgot about him. And then when he transferred to Nebraska, I was like, I remember that name.
Yeah.
Like, if you're talking about that roster and you're talking about that type of player like that, you're talking about a real talent.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of the reason, like, national media is giving us attention. They are.
Yes.
And they're being like, they're optimistic is like, they're definitely 7, probably 8-win team.
We're going 11.
But okay, guy. But I'm saying, like, when you're talking about surrounding talent, because you're right, just watching those past seasons, and I haven't gotten to Trey yet, but I just know that you had the one guy and not a lot around him. That receiving core now, you have Malachi Coleman, you have Jalen Lloyd, you have what's the other freshman that's like super good, like that came from Kalen.
Davon Hall and Isaiah McMorris, both those dudes.
Yeah, those guys, and then you have Nayor and Banks. Like,
Jaden Doss would have started at receiver at any of Scott Frost's teams.
Oh yeah,
and now he's moving over to cornerback.
Yeah,
on this team because there's too many receivers.
Yeah.
and we need cornerbacks.
I know.
Simple as that. So like that tells you all you need to know about that room. Like most anticipated newcomer. Forget that. Most anticipated position group for me definitely is the receivers. Definitely was the receivers because everybody's anticipating Raiola, but like if Raiola is what we think it is, the receiving group will be really fun to watch. Really fun to watch.
Nah, between that and like our running back core that is so deep now.
Yeah.
A running back. I mean, and our Phil Still gave our offensive line a top 20.
Yep. And he predicted that we would be the third best rush defense in the country.
The defensive line. Yeah.
So we could just sit here all day and talk about how excited we are and how good we think we're going to be. But like, no, like screw that. I'm going to keep listening to my World War II podcast and not thinking about Nebraska football because that's what gets me through the day. Iwo Jima and Okinawa. That's what gets me through the day.
It's going to just listen, this season, I'm trying not to let myself be let down because the 2021 season, I was so freaking excited for. More so even for Scott Frost's first year, like because the COVID year, we wanted to play. And I feel like if COVID never happened, there might have been a little bit of more of a cohesion and maybe he would be fired like maybe this season. But like 2021, I was so excited for. And then we lost to Illinois because we had to go to Illinois to play Illinois in the first football game in 2 years. Like that's why I hate conference games. The first game this year we have UTEP first with a new coach, new system, new everything. If we lose to UTEP, the whole season's screwed. Like,
oh, no doubt about it.
The whole season's screwed. But we have the best opportunity. We have the best opportunity now to get momentum. We should at least go 1-0 going into Colorado. Colorado has come to Lincoln, which is going to be a much more of a hype situation than it was in Boulder. Like much more. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm just saying, like, Colorado is going to be going into that game with a complete fault. The fans, and I would say most likely the team, because let's be honest, it's not a watertight ship around there.
No.
Okay. Colorado is going to be going into that game, the whole organization, with such a false sense of confidence.
Well, and don't they play like North Dakota State?
We killed those dudes last year. That's what they're gonna say. We murdered them. They sucked. We killed them. We're gonna kill them again. It's Nebraska. We've beat them every time. That's what they're gonna say.
We're here.
But the reality is, during they've won, so they haven't had to ruminate on all of this. Meanwhile, Nebraska fans and organization probably have been diving into all those. Oh, what are all the little things like? Our defense was killing it, but our quarterback fumbled 4 times. Simple as that, But you don't want to say that if you won. Like if we beat Colorado and that happened to them, would we be talking about it? No, probably not. We'd be saying we killed Colorado. We're going to do it again. Yeah. So I'm very excited for that game. I think we're going to beat them like a drum.
And you're going.
Dude.
And you're going.
Beat them like a drum, dude.
And you're really going. It's a night game in Lincoln. I'm jealous.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, but yeah. I don't know. Let's future plans for the channel.
Plans on the channel. Yes.
So for those of you that don't know, we'll just hit on it really quick. I'm not even going to say NCAA double football. NCAA football is coming out. But
yes.
EA college football is coming out.
Yeah, EA college football.
Less 25. Than a month. So we're going to be doing some videos of us playing. If any of you have any suggestions on what we should do, not you.
I have some suggestions.
So a couple of the ideas we had was definitely playing through the season.
Yes.
And then playing Nebraska versus both of our alma maters. Yes. So like I play as my alma mater Liberty, you play as your alma mater Houston. So that kind of stuff. But if you have any other ideas, like just any other matchups you want to see, we're going to post them on the channel in a condensed version. And we'll do that.
Replaying the 2021 Nebraska college football season and winning all of the games.
And winning all the games by one score.
We could play co-op mode where I'm the tight end. We could do that, right? Where we're on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That would be kind of fun, honestly. Well.
Just like hit me, I'm open.
Yeah. But we also have agreed amongst ourselves, and this is not a hustle or anything. I won't be doing hours and hours of research and study and preparation for this. We've also agreed amongst ourselves that Blake is the better player than I am, and that when we play through Nebraska's college football season, any game that we feel like Nebraska should win, I'm going to play as the opponent. And any game that we feel like Nebraska should lose, Blake will play as the opponent. So the first game of the year, we'll play Nebraska UTEP, and I'll be UTEP, and Blake will be Nebraska, and we'll see what happens.
So I have to play as Colorado in your eyes?
Depends. We'll talk about it beforehand. Who plays as who? That'll be a part of those videos, the conversation about who plays as who. And, like I just dropped a very subtle hint right here. We'll see what I have in store.
Some cheat codes. Some cheat codes. The best cheat codes.
We're going to be doing a lot of winning. You're going to say, Mr. Trump, we're tired. We're tired of all the winning.
Mr. Rule, we're tired of all the winning. Anyways, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We like doing these things. We're not going to go as long this time because there's going to be more news coming through July. So probably another
no doubt.
2 weeks. You can expect our next one. Follow us on X, @CHusker_corner, Instagram, CornHuskerCorner. Any other thing you have to say?
No. 9/11 was an inside job.
Okay.
Oil.